is my home away from my home club. But at the Pittsburgh Club, we have a little motto that we say at the end of every meeting. That goes like this. At Pittsburgh Club 144, we speak with clarity, move with a purpose, and present with pizzazz. So tonight, I'd like to spend a little time on the second of those, and that's moving with a purpose. But to start, have you ever thought about why we move when we speak, when we're on stage? Anybody want to toss out a couple?
Nervous.
Nervous, sure. Yeah.
Attention, get your attention.
Get your attention. Make sure people are awake. Okay. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. Now, I had those same kind of thoughts, and then I went over to the Little Lake Theater and took their acting class one time. And the instructors there told us there are only two reasons that you should move when you're on stage. The first of those is to do a task. Number one is to do a task, and number two is to show emotion. Okay, or you might say to show you're alive, but to also show emotion. I think we saw lots of good examples of that in the other speeches tonight. But let's start with doing a task. Doing a task. What kind of a task might you do, Caroline, during a speech?
Right. Like, act like you're teaching something.
Okay, so you might be writing. What else? Anything else? Right, or demonstrating, right? Okay, that's great, because those are the two that I kind of wanted to get to. That maybe you're doing a task, right? You're telling one of your stories, like we heard tonight, like Dan's telling his story. Or maybe I'm telling a story and there's a ring at the doorbell. I walk over to the door. I open the door. Look of surprise. And then I'm attacked by the land shark. Right? Okay, but I had to do the task first. I had to open the door. Or maybe I'm doing a demonstration. Doing a cooking demonstration, something like that. First you crack the eggs. Then you pour in the milk. And then you bonk your husband on the head with the skillet after that. All right? So, that's one of the reasons that we move when we're on stage. Okay, to do a task. Now the other is to show emotion. Right? Now Craig Ballantyne is a world championship public speaker. He was a world champion, I think, in 1999. And he says that you should not ever retell a story when you're giving a speech. Can you imagine what he does say you should do?
Relive it.
Relive it. There we go. Thank you, Ed. You should relive the story with us. Okay? And when you do that, bring the emotions. Try and bring back how you felt when you were having that experience. Were you happy? Oh, I'm so happy. So happy. Or I'm mad. Ah, gee whiz, my stupid basement. Or I'm sad. I'm so sad. And if you're actually bringing those emotions, if you're actually feeling them, genuinely experiencing that again, you have to think about what gestures to make. Pretty automatic, right? We know how to make all those gestures when we have those feelings. Okay. So I think that will be very natural. You'll connect with your audience and you'll be in good shape. Okay, so that's kind of the why. That's the why. Let's talk about how we deliver the gestures when we're up here on stage. I'm going to talk about three primary ways. Right? One is using your whole body. Another is using your wonderful face. And then using your hands, which you'll see never leave my arms while I do my gestures up here tonight. Okay, so whole body, face, hands. So let's start with your whole body. It's the greatest prop you'll ever have. Now, why would I say that? What's so great about your body as a prop? Bob?
You never leave home without it.
That's one of the, you never leave home without it, right? No batteries required. It's instant on. It's always on. You don't have to remember where you left it. Where's my body? Oh, here it is. I've got it right here. Okay, so that's one. It's always with you.
Your complete control.
Yeah, you've got complete control over it. You have complete control over it. It's not going anywhere. It's highly adaptable, right? You can be anything. You can be the Empire State Building. Elevator up to the 33rd floor. Or you can be letters of the alphabet. Y-M-C-A, right? Or you can be an animal. You can be a horse. So you've got this body that you can do all these things with. It's such a great prop. And I'm forgetting one more. Oh, well, this kind of falls into place, but it's dynamic. You can run, you can jump, you can hop and skip and do all those kinds of things. Now try and get a PowerPoint presentation to do that. All right, so let's talk about a couple of tips now for using your whole body when you're giving a speech. And the first one, I hope you'll remember now, is to be 3D, or maybe to be 3D and high def, right? Because your body's three-dimensional, it's high definition, so is the stage that you're working on. So the opposite of that would be to fall back to being kind of two-dimensional, or even one-dimensional with your gestures where you're doing the same thing over and over. So what I mean by that, by being three-dimensional, is to work high and low. Reach up and pluck that apple off the tree. Or if you're telling your Little League story, get down and field that ground ball when you're playing shortstop. Work right and left, too, right? Come over, interact with Jeremy on the right side of, my right side of the audience. And then hustle over here and catch that falling piano. You're safe, good citizen. Okay. So that's your left and right, and then the forwards and back, right? Because it's always kind of dangerous when you go out in the audience. What's Tim going to do to me? That gets people away, too. Second tip for when you're using your whole body. Size your gestures to the size of the room and the audience. You're in the big room, you're at the company auditorium, you're about to do your big presentation that you've been working on for the last month, and you want those people way up high in the back row to know that you once caught a fish this big. That's one of my big lines. It's this big. I once caught a fish this big. Now, the antithesis of that is when maybe you're Benny, right? You're close quarters, got somebody corralled in your real estate office, and you're saying, oh, this house is huge, it's so big. But you're using more constrained gestures, right? This is the one I struggle with the most, because I've got my long arms shooting off in all directions. I'm knocking things off the table. Lamps are falling over. So I've got to work on kind of constraining my gestures when I'm in a smaller space. But that's the tip, okay? Big gestures for the big room, smaller gestures for the more intimate gathering.